made the decision to draft Caleb here. For us late in the draft, obviously a much more talented player, but certainly aware of the incident involving Caleb that's been reported on recently, something that is very concerning for us, continues to be a concern. What I would say about it before I open it up for questions is, from our standpoint, we communicated to Caleb how serious a matter this is to us. This is something that he can't repeat as he moves forward. And more importantly than that, we communicated to Caleb that this is still something that we're investigating and looking into, and that facts may turn up that prevent us from being able to keep him on our roster. We did feel like at this point in the draft and what we knew so far, I'm not going to get into too much of the details of that, but based on what we knew so far and of the person, the player, the incident, that this was an okay point in the draft to take him. But he is aware of that. We're happy to add a player, that has a talent level, something that can add to our team and help us win. But the precondition to that is for us to get comfortable with the incident.
You have emphasized a certain kind of guy you've been drafting here for 2 years. You got hundreds of guys on the board. Why him?
Yeah, so again, just as I said, Pat, I think we're still investigating the incident. We've done some background on Caleb, understand kind of who he is. And, I actually, to your point, I actually think we do have a locker room full of guys that can, bring Caleb in and help him along, but also making it very clear to him our expectations moving forward, what we're going to tolerate and what we won't. And he'll understand that very clearly when he gets here. We've already had a conversation after we drafted him about that. And
come off a little bit, sort of like, granted he should have went higher in the draft, but he's still getting drafted. It's almost like he sort of got rewarded or got by for whatever this thing is.
Well, the first thing I'd say, Terry, is that it hasn't been resolved. We will investigate it internally, not going to comment more on it. But no, I wouldn't look at it that way.
Sashi, ownership sign off on this?
We made the decision as a football staff to move forward. So.
Sashi, with all due respect, why subject yourself to this at all? Why not just eliminate the guy and then you don't have to deal with any investigations or anything else?
Yeah, I think, as I said, really balanced in where we are. And again, we communicated to Caleb that as we continue to investigate this may be something we don't get comfortable with. And if we can't get comfortable with it, regardless of the resolution, I should say, and I think this is important, this is something that can't continue. But we will continue to investigate on our end. And, provided that we can get comfortable, we'll keep him on the roster. If we can't, we'll move on.
Did you talk to him before you drafted him?
We talked to him after we drafted him.
So before you drafted him, you hadn't asked him his.
We did not get into his side of the story with him. We thought it was more important for us to understand the facts that weren't relayed on by him.
Sashi, what kind of grade are you getting if he is, if you decide he is all right?
Yeah, powerful interior defensive lineman, that can help us right away, be in the rotation. Still has some things that we want him to develop, but absolutely a good athlete, plays with a tenacity that we like. So we're pleased to add the talent to the room, again, provided we can get comfortable with the incident.
Just to be clear, you guys didn't visit with him or talk to him at all before the draft?
I did not talk to Caleb before. We had Caleb in. So we had him in, but post-incident we did not. So.
Like his attorney?
I'm not going to get into all the conversations we had, guys.
And is it as simple? Is it as simple as if he's convicted, he won't be here?
I'm not going to get into how we'll make that determination. It will be made internally, and there's some circumstances where he may not be convicted. It's not contingent upon that, and we may not be able to get comfortable with it.
So he faced league discipline, and did that play a role in?
I wouldn't answer for the league. That would be a separate process we would not be involved in.
Was this a year after the year that you had? Why did you feel like you had a potentially expendable draft pick? I mean, you're saying you may not actually keep him.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, as answered before, it's something that we got comfortable enough at this point to make the decision. That doesn't mean that Caleb's necessarily going to be on our roster as we move forward. We expect that, he'll come in here. We'll have plenty of conversation about this, and, we're happy to add him at this point in the draft.
Was there a lot of debate in the
room over something like this? I mean, did you kind of have?
Good conversation. You know, I wouldn't call it a debate, but we had good conversation about it, and we had done some diligence over the last couple of days.
Would he be a rookie camp?
Yeah, so he'll come up. We'll obviously, be working with him, but we expect to have him up with the rest of the class.